Time management. How to create a project plan and use your time effectively. So you've had induction week with all your parties and socialising. Your lectures have started and you're just getting your head around the amount of work that this semester is going to involve. You've noticed in your module handbook that quite a few modules have hand-in dates just before Christmas. That's great. You've got months to go before having any serious work to do. But actually, if you look closely, nearly all your modules will probably have hand-in dates around the same time. How can you plan your work to try and make sure everything doesn't need doing at the same time? Try thinking about long pieces of writing like a project and create a project plan with timescales. Once you've created a project plan for each piece of work, you should transfer the key dates into your diary and then do it for all of your modules. This means you can identify possible pressure points during the semester when your modules may overlap. So what are the key stages of writing an essay? You can print out this page and try to identify the stages. Write them into the subtasks boxes. These are some examples of the key stages of writing an essay. You won't necessarily complete all of these stages every time you submit work. Some assignments may have different criteria, but you should always break the tasks down into small manageable steps at an early stage to help you set smart objectives. Let's assume that it's the 15th of October and you've been set a piece of work that has to be handed in on the 3rd of December. How are you going to manage your time? Okay, you need to start by thinking about your title. Analyse it and try to understand what the tutors are looking for. That shouldn't take long. You can think about it over the weekend and be ready to move on by Monday. Start planning. What does this mean? It means start thinking about the things you already know about the subject and which bits are relevant to the way you plan to answer the essay. You need to start sketching out notes and creating lists or mind maps, going through your lecture notes and consolidating the learning that you already got to help you decide where the gaps are in your knowledge. This is the stage where you draft out a project plan and set timescales. This will probably take a couple of days to do. So now we're on to the 20th of October. The section about finding and using the resources is probably the one that takes the longest. You won't do it all at the same time. You may organise an afternoon just for information searching and then find they haven't got all the books, so you need to order them. When you read one book, you may see a useful reference to another one which you have to go back for. Searching for journal articles and using online catalogues can take longer than you think. If we give a couple of days for searching and waiting for ordered books, we're probably into our second week now. This next section is one of the most time-consuming, and yet it's the stage many students really enjoy. Sitting curled up with a few interesting books or journal abstracts, reading, making notes, and wondering how you're going to organise everything. You'll probably take a couple of weeks over this. You should. Don't forget, you're supposed to be reading for a degree. The planning stage is crucial. You'll go back to the ideas that you had when you were first thinking about your writing and change them or add to them. Sketching out a mind map of your ideas and thoughts will help you see how your argument is developing. And most importantly, it will help you establish links in your thoughts. You probably won't write your whole first draft in one go. It's likely that you'll be working on the main body of your essay or your conclusion, whilst adapting and altering your plan. It's an iterative, developmental process, where one idea can feed into another and change the way your introduction or conclusion is going. This can be time-consuming, so your project plan needs to accommodate it properly. You won't produce one standard plan that will fit all your assignments. One tutor may ask you to write out a draft plan and hand it in for feedback. Another may ask you to submit an outline of your main argument. You may not be given the chance to get tutor feedback at all and have to do the drafting and revising process yourself. Either way, handing something in and getting it back or putting your work to one side whilst you get on with something else will refresh your thoughts, but this takes time. Read the feedback and make the necessary changes. Go back to your tutor if you aren't sure what they mean. You're not likely to need to rewrite your whole essay in these later stages, but this week is a really important period of time for consolidating and redrafting your essay. You need to give yourself time to do this. As we've already said, the gaps in time can refresh your ideas and help you see things in a new light. You may get fed up with your essay and frustrated by this need to rethink, but try not to get too attached to your text. Be prepared to revise and change what you've written. Not only does it produce a better quality piece of finished work, but it helps with your learning. It encourages you to think deeper about your writing and gives you time to really get to grips with the ideas that you're articulating. Now you're nearly there. You need to print your work out and then read it out loud to yourself or give it to a flatmate to have a look at. You're really checking for grammar, punctuation and a sense of your writing at this stage. Now you're ready for your final print. Don't leave that till the last day. You only need to run out of printer ink or printing credits to increase your stress levels. Most schools and faculties start a penalty point system for each hour that you're late handing it in. So don't risk it. Congratulations, you've finished. Now you're ready to turn to your next piece of writing. Once you've created a project plan for each piece of work, transfer the key dates into your diary and then repeat the process for all of your other modules. That's the best way to manage big pieces of work when you've got multiple projects on the go.